Here's a Kristin Farr painting example. This is kind of what this example is going to be based off of. You can see that the colors are going to look significantly different. This one looks a lot different. We'll talk more about color, but I'm going to show you how to get the design of this done. So here's my example. It's not that great. I was doing it quickly, but it will get you guys started with drawing your own. So go ahead and you will get started.
All right, so to get started with this one, we're going to be kind of doing the funky design pattern that has the zigzags. You're just going to start out by tracing a circle. It doesn't matter what size the circle is. So you can use one of the pre-made tracers, or you can just find another object, okay, to trace around that's large and circular. So now the next thing you need to do is you need to find the diameter, okay? So remember, the diameter of a circle is the width across, okay? So this is about 7¼ inches. So now I need to go ahead and find halfway. So roughly halfway, so half of 7 inches would be 3½ inches. So I'm going to find 3½ inches, and since it's 1/4 inch, the center is going to be in between that 1/4 inch mark, which is right here, okay? So find the center. So it's roughly right there, okay? Now, you're just going to kind of eyeball this. It doesn't need to be perfect. What you're going to do then is make sure you have equal halves, and you are going to divide this into a half, okay? So those are pretty equal. Maybe one size is a little larger than the other, but it's not a big deal. Flip your ruler the other way and go ahead and divide it into half again. So now we have 4 pie pieces, okay? So they're pretty equal. Now what you are going to do is we're going to continue to divide these pie pieces, and to do that, we need to make sure that we are lining up the ruler in the center, okay? So we're going to do this a couple of times. So watch here. Make sure this is kind of like your center point where all of these lines are intersecting. So every time you line up the ruler, it must be on that point, okay? So I'm going to divide this one into pie pieces first. So as I draw my line, should be pretty even, okay? And I'm going to continue to do that to the other side. Should be pretty even, okay? Now we're going to go ahead and do this one more time in these sections. So as I go and do this section here, get to move my ruler a little bit. So notice here, the pie pieces are going to become quite small. So this one gets a little bit more challenging, but you can divide these up as you need to, okay? So if that wasn't probably the best one, it wasn't quite in there, but I could go in and erase that. So finish that to make those small sections, and then we'll be done. Okay, so now if we're counting the top half and the bottom half, I should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sections on the bottom, and then 8 on the top, okay? So now I have some created circles. So if you notice, this one had a number 3 written on it. Now I'm going to do a number 4, and I am going to try to center it as best I can. And I'm going to go in and just trace around, creating these rings, okay? Now I'm going to take my number 5 circle, trace around again as even as I can, and then I'm going to do one more. So my number 6, so this one's going to be a smaller one. Okay, so now we are ready to make that zigzag design, and watch very, very closely because we are going to use these corners as a guide. Okay, so here I'm going to draw a line starting in this corner, and you don't need to use a ruler. You can if you want to, because I'm actually going to curve these lines a little bit, but it needs to end here in the next corner, okay? So now I'm going to make a zigzag line that curves the other way down to the other corner. Then I'm going to come up here, it curves here, and then when I get to this middle part, I'm just going to kind of leave that like this, okay? So then I come over here to the next section, I'm going to draw that same pattern. So start with the line up that goes to the corner, line down that goes to the corner, line up, and then this is going to create one shape here, okay? So now we kind of have this zigzag lightning bolt, and we're going to continue that all the way around. So I'll show you one more time. So start here, up to the corner, down to the corner, up. So it's just making a zigzag line, guys, but all you're doing is you're using these points as a reference, okay? These kind of rectangular squares, okay? So you're going to continue doing that all the way around.
All right, so to get started here, I have some blue paint that I'm going to be using. And now I'm just going to, I think, let's see, let's count. I'm going to start here, and then we'll count how many sections we have to see how many spaces that we need. So this one's going to be my dark one, so I'm just going to paint this in solid blue. You guys can choose whatever colors you want for this. Pick a pattern of colors. Do your best to stay in those lines. I'm going to be doing this pretty quickly so that you guys can see how to do this. So I might not stay in the lines, but I'll do my best, okay? So now this is where I'm going to start. So if we're counting here, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 zigzags. So every fourth color I'm going to do blue. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, and then this one would be blue. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this one in. But notice as I fill this in, I'm only filling in that first ring. Now that I've gone around the outside and I know which ones are going to be blue, I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to continue with this color. But notice, in this zigzag, so I'm painting this zigzag, I am skipping this section here. I might need a smaller brush for this. And I'm going on to this next part here. So I would go ahead and do this one, do this with yours. Okay, so now that that is done, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a little bit of white to my palette to mix some tints. So remember, a tint is your color plus white, so I'm going to make a lighter version. So over here to the side, I'm just going to mix this. And I want to mix enough of this color so that I don't have to keep remixing it, okay? So that's pretty good. And it's definitely lighter than my blue. I might want it to be a touch darker, but you just need to make sure that it's significantly lighter than your original color. So now I'm going to go in, use that color, and I'm going to finish the zigzag. All right, so now my blue is finished up and I can move on to my next color. So you're going to continue this entire thing and it'll start to make a little bit more sense after we've added in our second color. So for the second color, I'm going to go ahead and add some green. All right, so now I'm ready to mix my tint. Here's my white. I know that green doesn't look very dark right now, so you might have to do a second coat of it
That's just kind of going to depend on what you got. And if those pencil marks show through, you will want to do a second coat. So now I have my tint and we're ready to work on the light layers. All right, so you might need to do another layer and then we're gonna just continue adding the next colors. So I'm just gonna quit talking and I'm just gonna paint. So I was getting a little sloppy there at the end, but you can kind of see how this will start to look. The bigger your circle is, the more of these light dark rings you'll have, and it'll look pretty awesome.